Okay, gents, let's now focus on the next big topic today, the Ballon d'Or rankings. We've got the shortlist, the 30 players shortlist has been released. Who should win it? Who are the favourites? Let's break it down. The winner will be announced in Paris on October the 17th. So there's a couple of months here for players to kind of make their claim, play well early on in the league season domestically and the Champions League. Lionel Messi's not on the list, though, for the first time since 2005. He's won it a record 7 times. Ronaldo is on the list, given his heroics for Man United at different points last season and leading Portugal. Well, I would call it heroics if we're looking at how badly they've started. But anyway, he's on it. Messi isn't. A lot of people are discussing that. Nick, who are the favourites? I'm looking at, there's probably one clear favourite that stands out, but you've got the Real Madrid stars. You've got a lot of players who have led their teams to international glory over the last 12 months. So I'm not mentioning any names, but you go ahead, mate. Who is your favourite to win the Ballon d'Or?
Well, my favourite's Mbappe. I think he was the best player in the world last year. I think he drove the PSG finally put it around him and said, go for it. I mean, that the reason Messi is arguably not on the list is that PSG went through Mbappe, who was also excellent for France. Obviously, I think the talk is going to be about Kevin De Bruyne. The talk is going to be, for me at least, is going to be about De Bruyne. It's going to be, of course, about Karim Benzema, who seems to be getting all of the love. But then you scroll up and down the list and you think for the first time in a while, what you're talking about, those 2 weeks or these 2 months, coming up, I think they really will dictate who wins the award. I don't want to say it's wide open, but I think you can make an argument for as much as a third of the 30-man list. Again, I like Mbappe to win the award. I think if we're looking at the sort of taking over a game at every level, there's no team he's on that he isn't the most important piece, and that includes France, one of the best teams in the world. It's very difficult for me to get past him. But if I do, I'm probably celebrating Kevin De Bruyne. And you guys are probably going to tell me that those guys aren't even in the top 2 or 3, are you?
To be honest, this is a difficult discussion because they're all wonderful players, right? We're not going to disagree that Mbappe, De Bruyne, Benzema are undeserving of this award, right, Andy? They've all shown at different stages they are. But who are your favourites? Do you agree with Nick there on some of those names?
Yeah, first of all, let's just acknowledge we've officially entered into the post-Messi Ronaldo era of football. Like, we knew it was coming and happening, but the fact that we are now talking about who was the best player in the world for the last year, and neither of them are anywhere near the in my opinion, what you said about Ronaldo, I'll take the point, or Nick, excuse me. But it's just, I don't know. I also wish that we would make this a seasonal award as well, instead of a calendar year award, because I'm looking at numbers here and I'm thinking, well, how many of Benzema's 27 La Liga goals am I supposed to count? How many of his 15 Champions League goals am I supposed to count en route to carrying Real Madrid to winning the title? He almost single-handedly took them there. That is, to me, the greatest accomplishment that happened in the year of 2022, but how much of that is actually credited to the year? So I think it's Benzema because of those numbers, because of what he did. I think and the fact that it's Real Madrid as well, and that they had a little bit of time away from the limelight and the Champions League, he dragged them back there. He was just so dominant in the way that they won the Champions League. It felt like every single time that he took the field, he was going to score. He was going to score a couple, and he was going to give Real Madrid an opportunity to win games that they shouldn't have, and he did. He did on multiple occasions. So to me, it's him. I think De Bruyne is a lot closer than a lot of people realize, because Manchester City didn't have that goal scoring forward last season. He took a little bit more of that goal scoring onus onto himself, but the assist numbers weren't quite what they're going to be this year. I'll say, with Erling Haaland up top, and so we might be talking about something completely different a year from now with Kevin De Bruyne, where he has a similar season, but the numbers are just so absurd that he can't be ignored. So I think it's Benzema, De Bruyne, Mbappe in that order. Mbappe, to me, I don't know, being at PSG always feels like you get docked a few points because you're a little bit out of sight, a little bit out of mind. You're only really paid attention to in Champions League because all your other games, what's the competition? And so anybody from the Premier League, I think, has an inherent built-in advantage because the level of competition and the exposure, and La Liga and making the run in the Champions League, to me, puts Benzema just over the top.
I disagree with you guys' pick, because I cannot believe neither of you have mentioned Sadio Mane. He literally was Liverpool's best player last season. He's gone to Bayern Munich, started out on fire there. Senegal won the
incredible for Senegal, yeah.
and he's led them to a World Cup as well by beating Egypt. So for me, I think he should win it, but he probably won't, because the fact you guys did mention, a lot of people just generally seem to overlook him because he isn't looking for the stardom or being that superstar guy, and he is a team player. And I think any team that has Sadio Mane in it is a better team because of it. So Benzema is still probably my favorite. I think, like you said, Andy, whenever Real Madrid needed him, he'd pop up with huge goals, huge moments. De Bruyne was excellent. Salah was excellent for stages as well. Looking down the list, I think those are the players that really stand out to me. I mean,
I would have, Joe. I would have had De Bruyne over Benzema too, and the reason is I got to admit some bias. So for the Real Madrid fans who are yelling at me, this is not anti-Real Madrid bias. This is anti-Champions League bias. I just don't think it's as hard to win the Champions League as it is to win your league if you're a team in the Premier League, La Liga, or obviously the Bundesliga has taught us otherwise, but Serie A even has been tighter. And I don't have a lot for that. I think De Bruyne is someone who you go to see. And I know that shouldn't be part of it. But when I think about going to see a Real Madrid, I'm like, oh boy, I can't wait to see Karim Benzema. I don't think that way. I really don't. I think the reason I don't mention Mane is not a knock against him. It's that look at the Ballon d'Or voting and the people who are going to put their voices out there. I think Salah and Mane from Africa and Liverpool both take votes from each other. I think that happens a lot. Now, you may say that also could happen with players from Manchester City or Belgium or whatever, but I do think Salah and Mane have probably heard each other for a couple of years now. And Virgil van Dijk, for that matter, maybe overcame that hump. I don't know. I just think if Cristiano Ronaldo is on this list, then Messi probably should still be on this list. I think there is some I think there is some carryover there. But again, I look at this list, and here's an interesting quick question, blink question for you guys. And I know I'm springing this on you, but I look at names like Foden and Nunez and Vlahovic, and I think, how wide open is this going to be potentially for 5 years? All of these names could surge into a discussion with a Haaland or an Mbappe with consistency. And that's, again, why I back Mbappe. I think consistently, year in and year out, when healthy and on the pitch, he's being accounted for by every team that plays him.
Yeah, I like that. And I think, I just do think, though, that the point you made about winning the Champions League isn't as hard. So Lewandowski, right? If he goes to he's at Barcelona now. If he's ripping it up the start of the season, they are flying in the Champions League. He could potentially be right up there again as well, obviously winning it recently. But because, like Andy said, when you're at PSG, the fact he's been at Bayern Munich and they just won the Bundesliga again, even the crazy numbers of goals he was scoring there kind of gets overlooked a little bit. So maybe that's something to watch out for. If he goes to La Liga and does that for Barcelona in these first 2 months of the season, then he's another player. I mean, Andy, is there anybody else on that list that warrants maybe a sneaky, maybe not winning it, but will be in the top 3 or 4? Because, I'm looking at Courtois. Obviously had an amazing Champions League final, and like to tell everybody he did, which is fair enough. Christopher Nkunku at Leipzig was sensational, was broken into the France team. Heung-min Son at Tottenham obviously shared the golden boot, was really, really good. And I could keep going down the list and make a case for most of these guys, but Rudiger as well, how good he was for Chelsea and then going to Real Madrid. But anybody else really stand out for you as a bit of an outsider, maybe not to win it, but to be right up there in the voting?
Yeah, I think what we're talking about now is who else is in like the year best 11 conversation, because I think we do have the 4 or 5 names at the very top. And you mentioned Son there, right, Joe? I think he gets a consideration for that conversation, not for Ballon d'Or. I think Kane as well. I struggle with which of those two was more impressive last season because of the evolution of Kane and the playmaking ability and setting up so many of those goals for Son as well, and just the responsibility I think he took upon himself once Conte came in. Once they had a leader at manager, I felt like Kane stepped up in a new way as a leader on the field, and that coming on the heels of what happened last summer as well. So that's a different conversation. But the final point, I'll go back to Mane real quick. I do think that the Salah at Liverpool thing has really hurt both of them, because the expectation when we talk about all the other players is Mbappe is going to carry PSG. De Bruyne last year was going to carry Manchester City. Benzema was going to carry Real Madrid. And we didn't know who it was going to be from game to game, day to day, minute to minute, half to half with Liverpool. Was it going to be Mane? Was it going to be Salah? And then when Diogo Jota had a very, very bright spell and Luis Diaz came in, there was just so much firepower to go around there. It felt like one player struggled to stand out just a little bit more than everybody else. I think obviously that's the best duo or trio or quartet, however you want to look at it, that existed, but the award doesn't quite work like that. So I do think it'll be Benzema in the end. I think it's gonna be a lot closer though. As I've listened to both of your arguments for multiple different players, I do feel like it's a lot closer than I came into this conversation thinking, this is Benzema. Why are we talking about this?
Well, and the thing about this is we mentioned it there with the Messi Ronaldo era ending. There is now obviously a group of players that are all on a very similar level, and no one, Mbappe and Haaland for times, have separated themselves from that group. But there is a large group of 10 to 12 players when you bring in De Bruyne, Salah, Mane. These guys are sensational, but this was what makes the competition even more exciting, I think, to see who's going to win it this time, because previously it's going to be Messi, it's all Ronaldo, one of those two. They'll flip-flop a little bit depending on how their club teams do and internationally, and that's just the way it is. But now, like you said, we don't really know who is going to win it on October 17th in Paris. It'll be really exciting. We'll keep you updated on Pro Soccer Talk on NBCSports.com of who wins the Ballon d'Or and how all the rankings are going. I just feel a bit sorry for Lionel Messi. He's going to be in Paris probably as a PSG player in mid-October, and he's going to be sat there like, all right, I guess I've got a pretty free evening tonight, and all my mates are going to be at this fancy ceremony. So maybe they'll invite him along just to hand out the award because he's such a legend. But you're right, Nick. It does feel a bit strange that Ronaldo's on this list and Messi isn't, because he's been pretty decent, even though it was a bit of an injury hit and a bit of an up and down.
Tons of assists.
Exactly. But, this is the great thing about these awards. There's no absolutes, right? There's a lot of different opinions out there, and we're probably going to see that in the voting for the Ballon d'Or. Really excited to see who wins this one.
Hi there, I'm Rebecca Lowe, studio host for NBC's coverage of the Premier League. Don't forget to hit subscribe to watch more videos all season long. For even more Premier League content, from original series to live matches, head over to Peacock and be sure to tune in for Premier League mornings every weekend on USA Network and on Peacock. We will see you over there.